flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we attack one another with our chairs.
Can I have the roll call?
Councilmember Cerveny?
Here.
Councilmember Bach?
Here.
Councilmember Stimmel?
Here.
Councilmember Williams?
Present.
Councilmember Strobin?
Here.
Mayor Thornton?
Here. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. If there's no request for any items to be removed, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the mayor's report. Just a couple of things this evening. First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Here we are, it's 2019. And just a reminder to the council that on Saturday, January 26th, we will be having our city council retreat. It'll start at 9 a.m. and Mr. Lloyd Halverson will be facilitating it again this year. So, again, I'm still playing with that one. We'll see. But, yeah. And then also, I just wanted to mention that Mona Bean has volunteered again this year to organize the Saturdays in the Park concert series. So she'll be facilitating that for the city again this year, and I'm very happy to say that she's agreed to do it. She does a phenomenal job. It's a great amenity that the city offers, and I'm looking forward to the concerts. It sounds like we'll be having 6 concerts again this summer, and she's going to do it. And then just finally, I want to mention that today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So I just have a quick little paragraph that I want to read here to the council. National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was founded in 2015 to thank officers across the country for all their daily sacrifices they make for their communities. Concerns of police survivors, the FBI, the National Academy of Associates, the Fraternal Order of Police, the International Association of Chief of Police, the Officer Down Memorial Page are only a few of the long list of organizations supporting the inaugural day of National Enforcement Officers Appreciation Day. Since then, nationwide, many organizations have joined forces to support the National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, to spread encouragement and respect to these dedicated men and women. So I just wanted to thank Chief Denny for his continued service and the officers of the La Center Police Department. So, thank you. Yeah, very good. That's all I have this evening. Next is the attorney's report. Mr. Kearns?
I don't have anything earth-shaking. I know it's a shock.
Rude.
So,
Oh, man, I was all ramped up for that.
does anyone have any legal questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any updates for the junction litigation?
Well, all the various motions for expedited review of the latest Growth Management Hearings Board order are pending. I think the Growth Board has said okay. Then motions to consolidate are pending. And so far, the briefing schedule has not been disturbed. No argument date has been set, however, in the Court of Appeals. But I think that's the next thing. So maybe next month I'll have a date for you on that one. And it would be sometime in the spring up in Tacoma
Okay.
before our 3-judge panel.
3-judge panel, okay. Very good. Okay. So no questions for Mr. Kearns? Well, then we'll go on to council member comments. Council member Ball?
I think Councilmember Cerveny comes next.
Well,
We're starting with her.
we'll just, that's not the way it is on my list.
I'll be glad to go.
We'll go in alphabetical order. How's that sound?
Thank you, Mayor. Starting off the year rather busy. Last Saturday, I participated in the Leadership Clark County program. It's a 12 or 16-week program, I believe, for not just younger people who comprise a lot of the group, but it's for anyone that wants to develop some leadership skills. It's a program that's been around for a number of years. It's a very good program. And last year and again this year, I was able to participate in the Elected Officials Day. And it's an opportunity to talk with each of the candidates. I don't have a lot of time to do that, but it's a very exciting way to get to meet people who are up and coming and want to develop their leadership skills. That was last Saturday. Last night, I attended my first CTRAN board meeting. It's quite interesting. There was not a whole lot there that really pertained to the North County and to the center in particular. But the nomination and the election of the chair and vice chair took place last night. Councilmember Adrian Cortez of Battleground was elected chair, and Mayor Ann McInerney Ogle of Vancouver was nominated and elected for vice chair. A couple projects were discussed at the meeting last night. There is a development plan going on for the Fisher's Landing area at the transit center out there, and that's relatively high on their list. Even higher on their list is another rapid transit bus line like the one running down Fourth Plain Boulevard. I think they call it the Vine. They are working on a comparable program for Mill Plain. And then after that, Highway 99. Now, the Highway 99 program is out there a ways. I know that Joe Valenzuela was talking about that and was putting pressure on them, and it did come up last night. So I was very, very pleased to hear that. Today, I had a half-day orientation at their corporate offices, if you want to call it that. Was able to tour their administration building and the maintenance facility. The maintenance facility was really quite fascinating, including a large spray booth for the large buses. That was really good. I thought that was pretty good. Got into financial things, performance reports, and that type of thing. I got a chance to meet a lot of their key management people as well. So that was a half a day very well spent. I don't know if you noticed, but in the Columbian yesterday, there was a photograph of a CTRAN bus with a vinyl wrap on it. And CTRAN will be doing a vinyl wrap for one bus for each of the cities in Clark County. The very first one is Battlegrounds, and we are on the list. I did confirm that with them. It's going to be a few months out. And before they actually order any kind of vinyl wrap, they will be working with the city to design what we would like to have on it. Battlegrounds, for example, has a tagline that says "Discover Battleground." There will be a lot of flexibility for us. We'll be able to select photos that we would like to have. They've got a super high-resolution camera that they can bring out in order that they can blow these things up to the size of the side of a bus and still have the photo look good. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. When I have some dates on that, I'll keep you posted, but right now it's just out there. It'll be a few months out. Just want to wish everyone a happy new year and hope it's good to everyone. So thank you. Thanks for coming in. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Good report. Councilmember Cerveny.
I also participated in the Leadership Clark County event last Saturday. It was interesting to go back. Last time I participated was when it was first getting off the ground and I was mayor. So seeing the growth in the group and the number of individuals participating gives me a lot of positive vibes for leaders coming down the pike for the future for the county. So it was an interesting day. And nothing other than that.
That's great. Thank you. Councilmember Stimmel.
Thank you. Well, the Center Little League's getting ready to launch spring baseball. Just thought I'd mention a couple things real quick. You'll probably see some little kids out selling the pepperoni sticks. We're going to try to raise $4,000 to $5,000 that way. I think if we don't sell them all door to door, they'll probably be available at the snack shack during games. But I thought it would be important to let you know what that money's for, in addition to jerseys we have to buy every year. There are some field expenses where Little League's responsible for. The city owns the park, Little League leases it, but they are responsible for a lot of the work that has to take place on the field. So we have to replace a pitching mound, bring in some dirt, and do some work to the grass. So not asking for money that's going to sit around. It's going to go straight to work. In addition to that, Little League is needing some support for board positions, as well as umpires and just general volunteers, anything from coaching to sitting on the board and helping making decisions. They meet, I believe, the first Monday of every month in the evening at 6 o'clock at the fire station. The next meeting is February 4th. If you want to learn more about things you might be able to do to help, or donating or purchasing one of those banners that sits out on the field, join the next meeting February 4th at 6 o'clock, fire station. I think that about covers everything I had for Little League. Other than that, Happy New Year, everybody. All that made it. Thank you.
Thank you. Understand you're going to be on the board this year for Little League?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good. Okay. Councilmember Williams.
Oh, cool, thanks. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. All I have is, this last summer, we enacted this leash law. And of course, my dog, being the most well-mannered dog in town, wandered off. But I had a phone call within a few minutes because she had a tag, a Center dog license. So this year I went down, as we get our dog license renewals, I went down. I found out that one of our outstanding citizens is quite rabid about being the first one to get one. But it's important that we get our dogs licensed. It helps if they get lost. And like I said, mine got out one day, wandered off, and before I could figure out where she was, I got a phone call that she's down in Huskow at the police station waiting for me. So it's important that we do that. Other than that, just be safe. We still got some cold weather. Watch out for ice. Public Works is doing a good job putting the de-icer down. I don't think anybody's slipping around too bad, but I know I was out the other day and it was a little slippery in a couple spots. So anyway, be careful until the weather warms up. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Stoven.
I think everybody pretty much covered it tonight. Happy New Year to everybody, and thank you for coming.
69 days till spring.
Very good. So we do have one staff report this evening. It's Public Works staff report, and Mr. Matt Jenkins is here to present to the council.
Good evening, council members and mayor. Are there any questions on the current staff report? There is one section I would like to go over. It's welcoming a new staff member. It's Jeff Hammond. He's joined the Center Public Works team as the new system operator 3. He brings over 20 years of experience in the operation and maintenance of wastewater facilities, and he currently holds a Class 3 wastewater operator's license for the state of Washington. Jeff and his family currently reside in Northeast Vancouver. He's an excellent individual. He also worked for ALNA as an overall facilities manager for the last 2 years. We're excited to have him aboard. So.
Yeah. No, it's a great addition to the city. I believe you've been taking him around to the city and introducing him to all the different departments.
Yeah, as many people as I have. I haven't quite got a chance to introduce him to the council members, but
Okay.
you will meet him eventually. He's an excellent individual, high caliber person, and incredibly knowledgeable both on the equipment side and the system side of the wastewater.
That's great. Maybe we can invite him to a city council meeting and introduce him to the council member that way. That would be awesome, yeah. No, he's a great addition. Yeah, great hire. Good job there, too. Yep. Any other questions for Mr. Jenkins?
Thanks, Matt.
Okay,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Council members and mayor.
Yep. Next on the agenda is the citizens' public comment. So if Anyone in the audience would like to address the council, please step up to the podium, and if you give us your name and address, and if you could limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Christopherson, and I actually live in Woodland, but I'm a pastor at the Promise Church in Woodland, and I was coming here today just to let the council and you as the mayor and everyone else that would be here to know about our desire as a church to be not just a Woodland church, but a regional church. We have people in our church that come from Longview to Vancouver, and we have a passion and a heart to reach the youth of the different communities that are in this region. And so we started in May of last year doing what we call a youth hub, where we get a bunch of teenagers and youth together to have a good, fun, positive time, enjoying games, food, and a positive message at the La Center High School. And so we started meeting in May. We met May and June, picked it back up in September once school started back up again. And we have another one this coming Saturday on the 12th at 5 o'clock at the high school in the Commons cafeteria area there. And so just wanted to let everybody know it's something that we desire to keep doing. And I brought some flyers, didn't know if it was possible to pass them out to you guys, as well as maybe leave them here.
Absolutely.
When we come by the city hall. So again, pleasure to be here with you guys tonight, and just looking forward to getting to know the center a little bit more and helping in your community any way we can. So
Thank you.
Thank you very
Where's your
much.
church located in Woodland?
it's on Hillshire Drive. If you go as you're heading to the Lewis River Road area to go upriver, there's a roundabout right there. We're right to the left of that roundabout in a kind of a field there. You can see us there. There's a sign right off the street that says the Promise Church. So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Mind if I pass
Not
this
at all,
out?
please do, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
You can leave the rest of them with the clerk down at the end of the table, and she'll put them out. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Skip girls out of Jacob. I just want to say the couple of things traffic related. I think the flashy lights at the end of the bridge and up at the other thing, the speed indicators, I think those are a real asset. I really do. I'm still an advocate of seeing if we can't lower the limits up at the freeway to 25, which would be a big deal, but I really think those are a real asset to allow people to know. The other thing, and I'm just tickled with the roundabout myself, I think it's fabulous. I had an unusual experience the other night, though, coming home, or going north, and it's just a little bit dark, and I'm surprised that, don't we have the flashy lights where in front of the Mexican food place there was some pedestrians, and it was just dark enough that I didn't really see them. And I don't know what it would cost, and I'm very cost conscious, as we all know. I'm tired of barking the tree, but I think that might be real prudent addition to have push the button and the lights flashing, because it was just dark enough that I didn't quite catch them while I was approaching it. I didn't run over anybody, but
Yeah.
we'd have known. Or I run like that. But
You
it's
wouldn't
just
be
food for thought. You know,
Okay.
I don't know if it can be done, but
Doesn't that crossing have a push button on it?
Not the one in the roundabout, no.
No, the one at he was saying the Mexican.
I say like the one at the Mexican.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Williams.
Yeah.
Like that one, I think that might be an asset, especially on the Pacific Highway side down there, through there. Anyway, that's also on my little bitty mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Skip. Yeah, no, the city is looking into that. That's, Tony actually has a report here that he's going to be giving a little bit later in the meeting, and if you have a few minutes, Tony, you might want to address that.
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Okay, because again, that's something that's being discussed right now. So I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. So, we have one other individual, I understand, Mr. Sosky.
Josh Sosky, 29400 Northeast 66th Avenue. Good to see you all. Thank you for your service to the community.
Did you bring each of us a T-shirt too?
I didn't bring you a T-shirt, but I am bringing a message.
That's better than the T-shirt.
So, we've gone through a process at the state level of how we fund our schools, and now the levy dollars have settled out, how the funds that are required to operate the school for the next 3 years. Our current operations levy will expire in 2019, and so we're going to be able to reduce the levy significantly for 2020. And it will be capped in 2019 by state law, but we still need to have a vote to approve it in our school district. Obviously, the city is one of our largest groups of voters, and so I just want to come to council and offer you the opportunity to ask questions and ask for your support. We've always found the city very supportive of the school district, so. But I find that if we ask the questions, then they get answered quickly and they don't fester, so. The best news of it is a lower tax. Usually we're saying it's going to be the same, but by law it will be less. So I have the district's flyer that I would like to hand out if that's okay. But first I would just like to open it up to any questions that you've heard from the community that we could address.
There's a good conversation going on throughout the entire community, as I'm sure you're well aware of. And fortunately, there's a lot of information that's out right now. I think Melinda's doing a very good job of distributing information. She was at my mayor's town hall last week, and we had some good discussion. And but yeah, I think it's, of course, it's critical. The levies are absolutely critical for the school district, and we understand that. And I think I can speak for the council that we're very supportive of that.
So an answer to one question that came up at that meeting was, what if the state changes that $1.50 cap on levies? And we met with the school board last night at their workshop, and they'll be passing a resolution in 2 weeks that will say that they will hold the levy to the $1.50 independent of what the state does for the 3 years of this levy. And that if they need to increase beyond that for some reason, they'll bring it to the voters. So they're going beyond the state law and saying that they will hold to that $1.50, which for a home of $400,000 is about a $400 savings a year.
Significant.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, let me hand this out.
Thanks, Josh.
So thank you all for your service, my gosh.
Thank you.
And yours.
We all do our part.
Yeah, thanks,
That's what makes
Josh.
the center work so well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Do you find your community conversations getting easier?
I'd say this levy's been a very positive conversation. The only concerns really come up relative to the state and what the state's doing.
Yeah.
I think over the last 15 years, we've done a good job of being transparent with how we use our levy dollars. And you'll see on this, we list exactly where the funds are going.
Yeah,
And
that's
I think the community has built a real good level of trust. That's my feeling.
mine too. I just wanted to see. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Gavin. So next on the agenda, we have an ordinance 2019-01. It's an update to the center procurement policy. And Dustin Bailey, our finance manager, will be presenting to the council.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. City staff have reviewed a number of different policies to determine updates, additions, streamlining. One of these was the City of Lewis Center purchasing and procurement policy. Most recent update of the policy was in October of 2008. The original codified version of the Public Works threshold for bidding was in 1951, so I think we're kind of due for a little bit of update. Attached to this item, in Exhibit A, is a comprehensive set of procedural instructions for staff. The document represents a collaboration of the city management team, so all of us have spent a lot of time on this. The goals set out in these procedures are maintaining the quality and integrity of the city's procurement system, maximizing the procurement value of city funds, providing a uniform citywide procurement system to the extent that is practical and feasible, and assuring fair and equitable treatment of people who deal with the city's procurement system. So the management team believes implementation of the revised City of La Center procurement policy as presented in the exhibit will establish the structure necessary to achieve the city's purchasing goals. Approval of this ordinance will not have a budget impact for the city, although it's expected that decentralizing these procedures and capitalizing on economies of scale will result in overall savings for the city operational costs. Staff is recommending that the City Council approve ordinance 2019-01 establishing a revised City of La Center procurement policy as presented in Exhibit A of this agenda item. So are there any questions?
No, just pat yourself on the back. I went through that line by line, and you guys did a good job.
Yeah.
It was
It looked really
very
good.
well written.
It's a 22-page document. so-
Ad nauseam, yeah. Thank you for getting it attached.
Okay, very good.
I do have a question for Dustin. There was, somewhere in here toward the end, I thought I'd highlighted that it had it, but I guess I didn't. There was a reference to verbal quotes
Yes.
for purchases between 5,000 and 10,000, I think it was, for a certain category.
Yes.
I know, and it stresses that they're to be used rather judiciously. Is it necessary with the ability to text so quickly nowadays, is it necessary to allow verbal quotes? Because you can get a written quote almost instantaneously anymore.
That is why we wrote into the policy that it was encouraged to not go that route, only in those situations where we need to act quickly, be nimble. Those situations would be relatively
Sure.
rare.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the way the policy is written is most of those activities will be run through the finance office, and so we would have a measure of control to make sure that
Okay.
we're
Good.
doing written quotes as much as possible.
Okay, no, I'm okay with that, as long as we've got the control on it. 'Cause over the years, I've just seen some bad situations develop over verbal quotes
Yes.
after the fact, and then it
Yeah.
turns into a big problem.
Right.
Okay.
There should be a confirming email with all of these. I'm not going to recommend a text.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's very hard to capture and retain as public record. Email is simple.
We also purposely left out the option of facts and quotations. We didn't want to, for very similar reasons.
That was in the 1951 version of the code. It's been taken out. Fact.
Okay. Thanks, Dustin.
Sure.
Okay. Very good. So, being that it's a public hearing, I will open it up for public comment. If any, at 7 o'clock, I'll open it for public comment. If anybody in the audience would like to address the council, have any comments on this ordinance, please step up to the podium and share with us your comments. Seeing nobody stepping up to the podium, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and turn it back over to the council for any comments or questions or further discussion.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 2019-01, establishing the City of La Center procurement policy in Exhibit A, which shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2019-01, establishing the revised City of La Center procurement policy as presented in Exhibit A. It's an ordinance, so if I get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Cerveny?
Yes.
Councilmember Blunt?
Yes.
Councilmember Stimmel?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Strobin?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019 passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Thank you, Dustin. Great job. Yeah, the city management team worked very diligently on this policy. They've been working on it for a couple of months, so great job. Lots of improvements, and we'll continue to looking at city policies going forward. There's another one yet this evening and more to follow as well, so I really appreciate all the efforts. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Next is resolution number 19-443, a resolution for surplus property. Again, Finance Manager will be presenting.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. The City of La Center currently does not have a surplus property policy. Because of this, each and every surplus item for the city must be run through the City Council in a public meeting. The City of La Center management team collaborated in the creation of the City of La Center surplus property policy found in Exhibit A, Resolution 19-443. Policy outlines efficient procedures to establish a surplus property policy compliant with all applicable regulations. Establishment of the surplus policy will result in the following: ensure alignment with the revised Code of Washington and improve the overall efficiency of the city operations. The management team believes that efficiency in this area will allow staff to focus on effective delivery of services to the public. Approval of this resolution will not have a budget impact, although as with other policy, this one, we also expect that efficiency will result in overall budget savings. Staff is recommending that the council approve Resolution 19-443, establishing the City of La Center surplus property policy as presented in Exhibit A. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you. Council, any other thoughts, comments, questions?
One thing to point
Motions?
out is that this policy is anticipated in Section 15 of the procurement manual that you just adopted, where it talks about surplusing property. It refers to the policy being adopted by resolution.
Okay, thank you.
So these integrate to one another.
Can I get a motion?
Sure. Mayor, I'll move to approve Resolution 19-443, establishing the City of La Center surplus property policy in Exhibit A, which shall take effect immediately on passage.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 19-443, establishing the City of La Center surplus property policy in Exhibit A, which will take effect immediately on passage. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, Dustin. So now we'll move on to unfinished business. Two presentations from our city engineer, Mr. Tony Cooper. The first one is on the new LED reader board project. Tony?
Thank you, Mayor. City Council. So this is to award the 2019 LED reader board project. City staff prepared reader board plans and specifications to install a new reader board in the obsolete reader board, replace it. October 31st and November 14th, the LED reader board project was advertised on DJC and the Smallworks, and also hosted on the Southwest Conservation Association site. And on December 12th, bids were opened and there were 5 bids received. The low bidder is Hammer Electric in the amount of $38,548. However, a separate bid tabulation was prepared by staff to verify the total cost of all the bid items, and as it turns out, the total cost of the bids with tax for Hammer Electric actually calculated to be $38,026.72. And so you scan down, there it shows the bids. Thank you. might be hard to read. But Hammer Electric, Mill Plain Electric, BSA Science, Northeast Electric, and City Electric Company all bid on it. And as you can see, the bids actually came out to, the calculated bid actually came out to $38,000. So I talked to MRASC about this, and it's appropriate to award the bid as the actually tabulated amount. So there's 30 working days in the project. However, I know it takes about 4 weeks to get the sign, so it's going to take a little while to get the sign before they install it. But it shouldn't take them too long to install it. So the budget impact, 2019 budget will have to be amended for this cost of $38,026.72. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Actually, there are. Go figure, right? Do we have like a drawing or something of what the sign actually looks like?
Well, yes. I think we had it in another, well, we had examples of one council meeting, I think.
I know there was an
And
exploration or something.
it showed what the
Exploratory.
signs look like, what the sign looks like, the color sign looks like. I have plans for it. It basically shows the sign, taking the sign out. The new sign is actually, the frame is a little bigger than the old one, so they have to move this frame of the structure frame out a little bit, reconstruct it to fit this new reader board in it. But I guess I can supply those if somebody wants to see what it's going to look like. Like I say, it doesn't have exactly what our sign would look like, but it has examples, I think. I think it was handed out before. But
Will it appear significantly different to a driver coming in over the bridge?
Pardon me?
Will it look much different to
it'll
a
be
driver
colored.
coming in?
Yeah, it won't be, before it was just LED lights, but it'll be color sign, yes.
Yeah.
It will be.
And it's not going to be blinding everybody like a casino sign or anything?
No, it
All
shouldn't.
right.
It's an LED sign, and it does have a protection slats on there, so nobody will get damaged it, kind of like the old one, I think.
Do we have any idea what the ongoing maintenance costs on this one will run?
Well, ongoing maintenance, I know that the company that supplies it, actually, it's easier for them to send out a service individual. They don't give us a cost. There is, it works with my wireless remote, so instead of a conduit or, hardwire connection, it will be able to be used remotely. However, I think there's a monthly service charge to use that wireless internet. So that, might be $20, $30, I have to check. It's not very much, but, there is a cost. But as far as ongoing maintenance, I know there's a warranty on it, and the manufacturer will warranty it for a certain period of time. I can't remember exactly what that is, but they will warranty it. But as far as maintenance, I couldn't tell you exactly how long it's going to last, but it's better, it's more sophisticated than the old sign, and it works better, and so I anticipate it's going to last longer, but there's no guarantee.
Okay.
So, do we have to amend the budget? I thought this was something that was in one of the projects or something like that.
I think it wasn't. Dustin had told me that it's not actually in the 2018 budget. So
I thought we budgeted for the sign, $45,000.
I don't. I thought it was, but maybe it isn't. But anyway.
I could have sworn there was something in there too.
Well, it was last year's budget, and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then we didn't spend the money in 2018.
Yeah.
So is it?
Well, then if we have to bring that back around, yeah, that was a,
So I think it was budgeted for $40,000
Yeah.
originally.
okay.
So it just means, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just didn't get carried forward. Well, so, yeah, I guess, Dustin, we do not have budget for it then in the current city's budget?
Not in the 18, 19 has it.
Pardon?
2019, it's in 2019, it's not in 2018.
So it is in the 2019.
So it's in
budget.
this current budget.
This is
Yeah.
2019.
Correct.
So we have money for it.
Right.
Oh,
So there is no amendment, but
No.
Okay. Well, I was in question, sorry. I thought it had been
Okay.
carried over then, yeah.
No, I'm confused.
Okay.
Watch the bouncing ball.
There's these 3 shells and 1 little pea.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have another report
Well,
after this.
we'll deal with this resolution here first, if council's so inclined.
Mayor?
We've been talking about it?
I move
You're
to
done.
authorize award of the bid from Hammer Electric in the amount of $38,026.72.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the award of the bid from Hammer Electric in the amount of $38,026.72 for the new reader board sign. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. I know a lot of people have been waiting a long time for that sign, so we'll be anxious to get it up and running. Thank you.
And then they won't read it.
So thank you, Tony. Tony does have one other presentation here. It pertains to the dark fiber conduit that was placed in La Center Road last year. Tony?
So this is actually for a bill of sale for something that's already been constructed. So in 2017, the Center Road Sewer Project was constructed, and along with that, there was a 4-inch PVC conduit installed for the Port of Ridgefield, 1 for the City of La Center, and I believe 4 for Clark County Utilities. And the conduit parallels the 8-inch, or the gravity sewer main and the force main construction. So along with that, along with the conduit, there were 8 pole boxes constructed for the Port of Ridgefield and 8 for the City of La Center. As part of the construction, the Clark County Utilities and Port of Ridgefield agreed to reimburse the city for the cost of this installation of these conduits and the pole boxes. And that also included the asphalt and base in the trench, so that it was divided up, so that it was fair, to the entities. So the port has already reimbursed the city for all the construction of this conduit and the pole boxes. So since the port has paid for this conduit, they've asked for the city to sign a bill of sale for the purchase of the conduit and the pole boxes for $10. So along with that, if you scan down, there is a bill of sale, which I believe Dan Kearns coordinated with the port's attorney on preparation of this. So it's set about 7,500 linear feet of conduit. And so I drew up a plan just to kind of show the limits of this. And you can see on the west end, on the south side of the road, begins the port conduit and city conduit. And it continues east on the south side of the road, adjacent to the sewer trench. And it goes all the way up just east of Timmon Road. The city's conduit actually extends farther over the bridge and goes all the way to the treatment plant, and that's what operates the pump station right now. There's connectors in that does it. So if you pan down a little bit more, I blew up the section of the pump station where it shows those right there, the Port of Ridgefield conduit, and there's the pole boxes there, the small little. You see those right here, These are pole boxes. There's as you drive by, there's 2 for CPU, the switch gear boxes, and then next to that there's a Port of Ridgefield pole box and the City of La Center pole box. So all along the length of that, adjacent to those CPU switch gear boxes, those are where the pole boxes are.
Where does the Port of Ridgefield conduit terminate at?
It terminates, probably about right where you see that arrow at the very top, right before the bridge. It terminates right there. They didn't carry it across the bridge. The cities, it goes underneath, it actually carries across the bridge, underneath the bridge there. And so it did the treatment plant. So it terminates just on this side of the bridge. And so does CPUs because their power, there's a power pole they used for connection for the operation of an actuator valve and the pump station.
Where's the other end of the termination?
You can see it's right up here. Right about there. It's just about where there's a culvert that goes under the road and a swale there. That's just on the other side of that. Now, it has been extended by, I think, a Wave company, which is a telecommunications company. So they've actually used that, and I think they've actually purchased the right to use that conduit from.
Okay.
So there, it goes Wave constructed another pole box on the north side, and an extended conduit east to connect to where the port's conduit in.
Can I ask why the Port of Ridgefield has anything to do with this at all? I mean, it's in La Center.
Yeah, well, they asked to have a conduit in there, they asked to have a dark fiber conduit in there
So
for
we just-
use in the future.
So,
So they're renting it out.
Port of Ridgefield has actually, I'm going to ask Mr. Swanson to address that. He's more familiar with what the project is for the Port of Ridgefield, but they're doing been working on a multi-year project for dark fiber for the entire county. So I'll let,
Good evening, Council, Mayor,
Yeah.
thank you. So, Councilor Strobing, the Port of Ridgefield, their jurisdictional boundary, their special government, and their jurisdictional boundary includes parts of the city of La Center. And so their dark fiber loop, that plan that they have includes laying fiber within the jurisdictional boundary of La Center, of course, in the city of Ridgefield, and in unincorporated parts of Clark County. Any other questions about that?
so, yeah, they're actually, because the city of La Center opened a 2-mile stretch of road right in part of where their jurisdiction is for the Port District, that was an opportunity for the port to put in the conduit. It was a low-cost project for them to do that. So when they installed the conduit, they did not install any fiber. Subsequently, the Wave put in a fiber line in that conduit, which they're leasing the line, I would imagine, to the Wave,
The
yeah.
port's coordinating with other jurisdictions that are part of the project and looking for opportunities whenever they're going to open a trench someplace to throw some fiber in the ground. So that
Sure.
there's some economies of scale and some cost savings.
So the Port of Ridgefield extends all the way to the La Center Bridge in La Center. It really mirrored what used to be the Ridgefield School District, as I understand, before the most recent change, yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, John.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, keep waiting for the resolution. If somebody would
Mayor, I
like
move
make
to
a-
authorize the mayor to sign a bill of sale for the purchase of the 7,500 lineal feet of 4-inch conduit, 8 pole boxes in La Center Road.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the bill of sale for purchase of 7,500 linear feet of 4-inch conduit and 8 pull boxes in La Center Road. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tony. And before we finish, Tony, would you please address or try to address the
Yeah.
question that was raised earlier by Mr. Carlson?
So, the contractor, they finished construction, but there's a punch list of items that they have to repair. So they're not really done. I did ask the consultant when this came up as far as the crosswalk crossing. I did ask our consultant to come out and take a look at it and make some suggestions, and they talked to their traffic engineer. What they suggested is to install another pedestrian crossing sign on the other side of Pacific Highway, pretty much, well, right there at the splitter island. Install another one and extend the crosswalk striping a little farther south, because what happens is the crosswalk is fairly flat. I mean, it's only a 0.5% slope. And the road is sloped like this, so it's hard to see the striping for people. That's what they suggested. I can see that we have talked about making that an LED push button, but that's a fairly good cost. Even installing more signs, that's going to be a change order for the contractor. It costs a little bit of money for them to do that. So we'll look into it further. I'm not sure what the best option would be, but if we need to install something like an LED crossing, we can do that. Our public works group can do that. We can just order the signs and print them out. But we'll look into it further. But anyway, we have been looking at it, and we're still kind of researching it to determine what's the safest way to make it safe for pedestrians.
So that brings up another point. At the last meeting, a gentleman came in a little bit further north on that road. He brought up the point that there's a lot of kids having to cross up there, and coming out of that corner, they were asking for some sort of a LED flashing crosswalk so that people can slow down and see that. And I think if we're going to be looking at anything down at this end, we need to also include that in there. Just maybe get a 2-for-1 deal or something.
Certainly.
eBay, yeah.
Yeah, we could look at, maybe we can add some to that. I mean, that's a possibility. What is going to be the safest for pedestrians, we'll take a look. And like to say that, the logic is that, if you start adding too many of these LED signs, you're seeing them constantly along the length of the road. So the thought is sometimes traffic kind of ignores them when they see them that many times. So, the consultant there is on, something that's really going to make an impact, but at the same rate, we still want to make it safe, so we'll take a look and research and determine what the best option is for safety.
Okay, no, very good. Thank you, Tony. And the city is going to continue looking at what the options are, and we will get guidance from the consultant and the engineer, the design engineer. There's actually a lot to it, so we'll be coming back to council with that. Very good. So we have one other item for the agenda this evening under new business. It's the 2019 legislative priorities for the city of the center, and Mr. Jeff Swanson will be presenting.
Thank you, Mayor Gordon, Council. Again, good evening. We have the opportunity to adopt a legislative agenda as we approach the 2019 Washington State Legislative Session. And it's pretty common practice for cities to work with the Association of Washington Cities and kind of have some items on their agenda that are sort of a us too. And so these first 4 items on the proposed legislative agenda support economic development tools to encourage job creation and economic growth. This really asks the legislature to consider policy approaches that will, the dirty term that's been used in the past is tax increment financing. They're calling it value recapture, and so each session there seems to be some new creativity to the language that's used to describe this, but it's essentially for jurisdictions to be able to use some of the anticipated revenue that a development would generate to finance some of the infrastructure that's necessary to make that development happen. The next one is Public Works Assistance Account, the Public Works Trust Fund, which has been swept repeatedly in prior legislative sessions. It's to keep that fully funded and to try to restore it, make it healthy again. It's a low-interest loan program for jurisdictions to finance infrastructure projects. Fund and develop a comprehensive systems approach to correct fish blocking culverts, and we happen to have one that we'll be talking about here in a few minutes when we talk about our capital request for the legislature, which is really a unique item on our agenda for our city. And then provide responsive funding for the Criminal Justice Training Commission. This is to have more slots available in the State Police Academy, which I'm sure you're well aware has been a problem for a number of years to try to get officers through the basic law enforcement academy. So our capital budget appropriation request, we are asking the state, and we'll have another one-pager that we'll bring up here momentarily, but we're asking the state to assist us, to throw a little budget dust our direction so that we can widen East 4th Street and remove the culvert that's under East 4th and put in some kind of open bottom structure to allow for fish passage. The widening of the street will allow for a complete streets build, so sidewalks, bike lanes, and a median with left turn pockets should improve the mobility. And I'm sure you're well aware that there's some mobility issues during AM and PM peak hours and school pickup and drop off times. So that should alleviate that situation. In terms of regional priorities, Clark College, Bothma Farms campus in Ridgefield, that's an important one for our region. Broadband policy with this is a policy Fort Ridgefield has championed for a number of years. And then the Interstate 5 corridor, parsing some language from the letter that you sent to the governor in this regard earlier in the fall, I guess. And if we could bring up, so we have the Breezy Creek culvert replacement. This is a one-pager front and back that we use as a leave behind with the legislators. And essentially what we're asking for is for, in this next biennium, $1.5 million so that we can complete the project design, the engineering, and get through the permitting process. And then about $5 million, that's our estimate at this point, for construction in the following biennium. We'll probably have to adjust that number as we go on due to inflation and material and labor. So project scopes to remove the culvert, construct a complete street. You can see the schematic there. Benefits. So this is really our selling points for this ask is fish passage is a big one. Safe routes to school. So we have sidewalks, bike lanes for kids to get to the school facilities, and then the regional mobility. The regional mobility one is really interesting because when you think about the number of trips that are generated from development outside the city of La Center that's in unincorporated Clark County, and the connection that those folks have to use to get to Interstate 5, they're coming down East 4th. But the city doesn't get any traffic impact revenue from those developments. So these regional projects, you know, it's this view that the world sort of begins and ends at your jurisdictional boundary, and so you're not entitled to any of those revenues that the county's collecting in traffic impact fees. So this is a strong case to make to the legislature that this deserves an earmark in their capital budget appropriation. Looked at a number of different funding options. We have, of course, traffic impact fees. This project is on the 6-year transportation improvement program, and it burdens the TIF fee to the tune of about 38%. And so if we could get the state to obligate funds to construct this project, there's a high likelihood we'll be able to reduce our traffic impact fee, which is a little on the high side comparatively with other jurisdictions in the region. I've looked at state DOT administered programs. There are currently no open calls for projects for some of those programs, and when they do open calls, they're a little bit further out, further distant in time. There are some opportunities we can look at through RTC, our Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, and we'll be meeting with Matt Ransom and staff there to talk about opportunities. But I think the best programs that we can access would be through TID, the Transportation Improvement Board. Of course, we'll make application there as well and try to throw everything we can at this. But showing Senator Hobbs on the transportation side and Senator Rivers is helping us with this request. But Senator Hobbs wants to know that we've looked at all the programs and checked the boxes and that they either don't fit eligibility or the timing of the project call is distant in time. So when the mayor and I go up to Olympia here in a few weeks, we'll carry our tin cup, and we'll wear our pants with the holes in it, and we'll ask them to bestow a little bit of that budget fairy dust on us. Any questions?
So we find out in a couple weeks, is what you're saying? Or it's going to be a while after that?
It'll probably be a while after that. So the request is out there. Our delegation's aware of the request. They have what they need as they meet and caucus and build those project lists to get their wants and desires recognized, and then as they form capital budgets and develop policy throughout the session, and we'll become a little more aware of those things. But our delegation's good at keeping us in the loop on status or request. Other questions?
I like the list. I like it.
Of course, we encourage all of you to develop those relationships with legislators and talk about issues that are important to the city as we go into the legislative session. And I think we're looking for basically a vote from the council to accept the legislative agenda.
Okay, thank you very
I
much.
do have one other question. I don't know if this is the right vehicle to use for this. Funding of MRSC has been rumored to be under attack. We don't want to see that.
Every session.
Yeah. So is this a good time to include something like that, or is it out of place? I don't know.
We could certainly add that to the list. I pulled the items from AWC's agenda and it didn't appear on theirs, so they may feel that funding for MRSC is safe this time around. But we could certainly add it there. I haven't heard this session about MRSC's funding being a threat.
And they just sent out another email here, I think, in the last couple of days, and I didn't see anything about the MRSC this year. So, but we can add it. I mean, that wouldn't be a problem.
Usually the session doesn't begin with jeopardy on MRSC, but it sometimes gets suggested during the course of the session. And people, all local governments and AWC say, whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay.
So that's where it comes up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd also add on the Breezy Creek culvert replacement, if you remember, in all the years we've been dealing with the Cowlitz tribe, one thing that has been repeated by the tribal members is that they have access to federal funding that local governments don't, and they specifically said fish passage projects would be high on their agenda. So in looking for money for Breezy Creek, I'd say engage the tribe and see what's up.
And we have had some discussions with them about it. Their initial response is they've taken a look at it and cost relative to benefit.
What?
They see
What?
some higher priority, higher yield projects.
It was the tribes that brought the original lawsuit against the state of Washington.
Right.
So the tribes generally, as a community, have a big interest in fish passage. This tribe might have different priorities for the moment, but it's there. It's there for all tribes.
Yeah, it's definitely a priority for the Cowlitz, but when they're weighing this project, and it's a fairly substantial cost to remove that culvert and open it up for fish passage versus perhaps some others that are in the region.
Yeah, a lot of these culverts are easy, quick, and simple, relatively cheap to replace. This one's not.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you for pulling this together relatively quickly. Great job. We have gotten this in front of the legislators from the 18th District, our delegation, and Jeff and I have met with Senator Rivers and Councilor Julie Olson on this already as well. So I really appreciate your efforts in getting it done so quickly and getting this in front of them. So great job. And Tony also helped with putting the documents together, so I appreciate it. So we'll see where it goes. Thank you. just if we could get a resolution from council for authorization to support the legislative agenda for 2019. Could you pull that back up, please?
I didn't see a proposed motion in there, but Mayor, I'll propose that we support the 2019 legislative priorities as outlined in the presentation that was just made.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2019 legislative priorities for the city of La Center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, council. Again, great job. We'll look forward to talking more about these items in our retreat as well. That is all that's on our agenda for this evening. If I could get a motion to adjourn?
No.
No?
Move to adjourn, sir.
Second.
Been moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
everyone.
joining us this evening, folks. There.
Sign?
Been so long since you had a meeting. I think it's been this long to do it. It's been so long since we had a meeting. I thought it was still can't get home to work. Well, we got it. See the overlook on my face.
I want to pull up that
Candy.
And we can do it in the gaming option. Oh, you're starting out. Version 2. What's the newest one? Because that's what I
Because I went back to the other one.
There you go.
What's going on with the neighborhood? Sorry about that.
Everybody's wrenches every day.
Bye, Nina.